definitely been a while since my last video, but a lot has happened, and I'm just getting back into the swing of things. Basically, I got pregnant and had a baby boy, and now that he's 3 months old and starting to sleep a bit more at night, I can finally get back to making more videos for you fabulous people. The last time we left off, I read The Sleeping Beauty in the Wood, so now we're going to continue with The Elves and the Shoemaker. I hope you guys enjoy this story. I intend on reading all the stories in this book, and especially I'm especially motivated right now because I want my son to have these videos on maybe before he goes to sleep, or I might just read it to him in person, but at least you guys also have these videos to help you fall asleep. So, without further ado, here's The Elves and the Shoemaker by the Brothers Grimm. There was once a shoemaker who became poorer and poorer as the years went by. At last, he had leather enough only for one pair of shoes. In the evening, he cut out the pattern, and then he went to sleep. The next morning, he took up a needle and thread, meaning to sew the shoes. But there they stood, neatly sewn and finished on his table. The shoemaker could not believe his eyes. Not a stitch was out of place, and the work was better than any he had ever seen. As he held the shoes, marveling at them, a customer entered the shop. He was so pleased with the shoes that he paid far more than the ordinary price, and the shoemaker was able to buy leather for 2 pairs more. He cut them out in the evening, and the next morning prepared to begin work. But there was no need for it because the shoes had already been made, and they were well stitched and handsome as the other pair. The first 2 customers who came into his shop bought them for a good price, and this time the shoemaker was able to buy leather enough for 4 pairs. Early the next morning, the 4 pairs of shoes were finished as before, and so it went. What the shoemaker cut out at night was finished in the morning, and the customers were never lacking. Soon the shoemaker became a wealthy man. Always he wondered about the skill of the work, and one evening, not long before Christmas, he said to his wife, "How would it be if we were to sit up tonight to see who has been helping us these many months?" She agreed at once, and so they did not go to bed, but lit a candle and hid themselves in a corner of the room. Just at midnight, 2 tiny little men came and sat down at the shoemaker's table. They wore no clothes and said not a single word, but immediately began to work. They stitched and hammered and sewed so neatly and quickly that the shoemaker was amazed. As soon as everything was finished, they stood upon the table. They ran quickly away. The little men have made us rich, and I think we ought to thank them, said the shoemaker's wife in the morning. They ran about with nothing on and must freeze with cold. Now I shall sew them tiny shirts and pants and coats and knit them caps and socks, and you must make them each a pair of shoes. The shoemaker and his wife worked hard all day and had everything ready by evening. Then they hid themselves to see how the little men would receive their presents. At midnight, the two came back into the room and sat down at the table. But instead of leather cut out and waiting, they found the wonderful little clothes. First, the little men were surprised, and then they were delighted. They put on the shirts and pants, the coats and socks and caps, and they buckled the tiny shoes upon their feet. When they were done, they ran their hands up and down the pretty clothes and admired each other, singing, "Now that we're boys so fine and neat, why cobble more for others' feet?" They hopped and danced about the shoemaker's shop, leaping over chairs and tables, and then out the door. From this night on, the two little men came back no more, but the shoemaker continued to do well as long as he lived and had good luck in all he attempted. So, like I said, it's a very short story. The next one is Rapunzel. I'll do that tomorrow. But I really like this short little story because it's really about helping others, for whatever reason. The elves took it upon themselves to help this poor shoemaker. And then the shoemaker returned the favor, and they had clothes and shoes for the first time. And so, it was kind of like helping each other out, which I think we could all use a little bit more of that these days. And I really like the depiction of the shoemaker and his wife seeing the elves work on the shoes. It's very interesting. And then the aftermath of, hey, we've got a really awesome outfit. It's cool. I really enjoy this style of illustration. It's just awesome. And I love the shading and the way it looks like colored pencils, but done in a really nice way. It's awesome. So Brothers Grimm, they definitely have a lot of fairy tales. I might get another book that is just Brothers Grimm's fairy tales, and I can read those to you too if you'd like. I'm definitely going to have to find one with illustrations though, because it can get boring to just look at words all the time. The illustrations help depict the best moments of the story. And so that concludes our story for this evening. I hope you all enjoyed this. And like I said, I'm just getting back in the swing of things. But I'm going to continue to read all the stories from the Random House Book of Fairy Tales. And then once I finish this out, I have a whole bunch of videos planned out. I'm so excited. Thank you all so much for watching.